Okay, so he says on page Samak Vav, where is it here? Okay, here we go. So the note here on number I and Hey, we'll take a look at this, is the Hamshach and the Fashos. Okay, the Fashos is the lowest level of light. The Demus, okay, this, the Mispar, the Demus, Malchios, the Tzlomim. That phrase where he says the Malchios of the Tzlomim, I've been thinking about the Tzlomim a lot. I think I mentioned it to you, a couple of times. Is that when he shows the way he did this here, that when he shows the lights, he shows them in the form of a tzelem. And I'm just confused as how to work the cold soma. Is it they are the lights, but the lights get divided into three. I'm not sure exactly how how this cheshbon works, but at any rate, he said, "But malchios the tzlomim." So that makes tzlomim sound like it's a parsha. It's a partzuf. The tzlomim and his karam the hachan bagadati the chagat the bina the Yaakov Rachel. Let's take a look at what he has here. He mentions that this sort of like is all right. We're going to read the Shefa in a minute. So he shows the oros as the first one is the chachan on the right line, because we're dealing with the right line. We're dealing with atzmos, and then the rest are ha'ara. And then he shows the moach, the levush. Then he shows that's in Chochmah and Bina. Then he shows you the chesed, the das, and the gevurah, the das. And then he goes down to the bottom, and it goes into the Shlosha Kli Chochmah Denuk, Shlosha Kli Bina Denuk, and the Shlosha Kli Das Denuk. And ultimately, it winds up in the Nook, which she calls Yaakov and Rachel over here. Let's look at number I and Hey. A light print, he says, Kol HaMochem and Niskarim. And I wanted to go over it again because it has the word Demus in here, and I just try to get the idea what we're talking about. Kol HaMochem Niskarim Shehim Katnas Rishon, what we call Katnas Rishon, a Demur Chochma Bina V'Chasadim, the Katnas Rishon of these Mochim, Chochma Bina Chasadim and Gevurah Das, Hamshachno ad Adach of the Zer Anpin, and up until this point where we're bringing them into Zer Anpin. Now the Mshachim Bechidas Malchus Shebechem. So now the Malchus of them is being what's the word Nimshach? El Yaakov Rachel, which are called the parts of the Nook. So he says in the Fashos, what does it mean by? I'm just going over these words again. The nefashos, what does it mean? Hu bebechinas malchus shel hanaranchi. Now this, I really think that we need a definition of that. So he's saying that the naranchi goes along with the word nefesh, maybe, and it is the lowest aspect of the naranchi. Shel nefesh hu malchus shebehem, the malchus of them. Now, once again, I have been dividing up Naranchi as the Oros. Now he says that the Oros actually have a Malchus aspect to them. In other words, they have an aspect of a parts of. Shara Nefesh hu ha-Malchus shebechem, which is its Malchus. Mispar, so when he said the word Mispar, and he wants to add he wants all of these to be here, he says hu ha-Malchus shel ha-Shemos. So he says, because he says these are the malchus of the names. I don't know what that means. Shechem Mispar shall call shame, because the count of every name, hu ha-malchus shebo. So if you count it, if you're able to count it, that's its malchus. Malchus is something that's counted. Then he goes to the next one, which is the demus. It's a malchus shal hatzalim. Now there's the idea again. It's the malchus of the tzalim. It's of the tzalim itself, which is tzadi, the tzalim, lam, and tzalim, and tzalim. That each one of them are that we're talking about. The tzalim has a malchus to it. Once again, he says the demus is the bechinas of the malchus shal hatzalim. Malchus who bechinas of malchus shall hakelem shall nai deima. Just go over that phrase again. He says, and malchus is what? Malchus represents kalem. What kalem? The kalem of the parts of called the nai deima, which is the parts that goes into Zer Anpin. V'kol elu hem shall tzlamim. These are from the tzlamim and his karim. The tzlamim are the three levels of light, the penimi and the two makevim. Shacham shachto at ata the Zer Anpin, that up until this point had been going to Zer Anpin. A mamshichin calls zech lahachan she'osa lahachan she'osa mamshichin ha'atzmo shabo. I think I lost my track. Mamshichin calls that lahachan. They all go down to the right line. She'osa mamshichin ha'atzmo shabo. The right line is what actually sends down the essence of the light itself. And then in Boga and Dati, he says Karpas. So what happens? Mamshichan ha'aragam mekave Baga and Dati. And he says of what? The Chagat v'nai. Why them? Shnei partzufim elu hin the partzufim of katnas. So we see this a lot in the Rashash. So he says this a lot, especially at the beginning, because I guess I'm just wondering, I'm slowly going through the Rashash now, is that he's always dealing with continence at the beginning of the davening. It says it changes when it gets to Shmona Esrei, and then it's you're no longer dealing with continence. Partsufi the katnas the bina. So let's read again. V'nai. So he said the Chagat the nahi shnei partsufim elohim partsufi hakatnas. Katnas of what? Of bina. Kol hamshachol shel hakatnas rishon anim shachim miyisrael sabatavuna. So all of that hamshachol there, they come from Ayasos. Hem lebina v'denuk. They're going. I think they mean they're going to the bina of the nuk. Shehu parts of a neshama, which is the parts of a neshama, which ties up with bina, and from that point the Yaakov Rachel and they cry parts of a nuk, and they go to the bina of Yaakov and Rachel, which is the parts of the nuk. Let's look over here at number mem kafhe rather. It says hamshach is a mochin and nuk. So we're going to actually bring this to Yaakov and Rachel. He says. B'siddur sal shalom. Now this is a note that we've seen before, because the background, this is shown separately. That is, there, I don't know what you say, there's a gray background behind the previous set that we've been looking through. He says it's different. He says lo kosav kam as shemas hamochim. It doesn't show you the mochin. It doesn't show you the neuralgia v'shemus hakelim. It doesn't do that either. It doesn't show you the oros, and it doesn't show you the which is the tzelem here. So he says of the shemus hakelim, the shemus hamochin, the neuralgia lo kosav b'kol makom b'nuk. He says that when you deal with the nuk, we never show this. Samach al masha kasa b'zer anpin. So since we're relying on what it's written in regards to zer anpin, b'shemus hakelim lo kasa b'katnas. So the name of the kalim is not written. We don't do that when we're dealing with katnas rishon klal at all. V'anu hosafno kan kamo bazah. But we added it in as if that we was actually going to zer anpin. What do we add in? Shemus hamochin, v'nerantchi, v'seder, the chiyus, and also showing how it gets pushed downwards further and further down. B'mochin the nuk, into the mochin of the nuk. Hamshachim mamish. So this is actually a real flow. B'mochin, the zer anpin the same way. Elder the hasgarno lohoros. I guess he means this background. This is his garnos, the show shahu hosofa shalanu. It's something that we added in. V'kein l'kaman b'katnas rishon the nook also later on in regard to the nook. So he says now he's going to show you the dechias on page Shin Samaches. So he says once that goes down, it's heading for the nook. The lahasher sham mochin v'neranchi the chabad, and leave the mochin of the top part, and then that is when you're. This is the dechia he's showing us. V'litchosa mochin v'neranchi the chagat v'nai the kli hachagat, and all those mochin that are still going to come into the middle section, which is the chagat, get pushed down into the chagat, and we have the same drawing again. The same drawing. It's a repeat exception. This is at the, well, there's exceptions, but the layout is the same. So looking at it from the right side, he says that the first thing we have is the line of Chachan, Baga, and then into the middle, Dati, the Chesadim, and Dati, the Gevuros, and he shows them as you might see them, which is Chesed and Netzach. In the middle, you have Tiferes, and then you have Yesod. Tiferes and Yesod in the Dati, and remember that we have, where, let me look and see if the Aleph is backwards. It's not. And then he says the Baga Ara then on the left line. So then he shows you the Moach, just like he said before, and this is the Moach of Elokim, and the Levush is a duplicate. The Chesed, the Das, he shows you it again, same thing, but this is with a Hey. And then, this is the one here we have, that is a Gevuros the Das. That's where we have the backwards, or let's say the Dalet instead of a Yud at the bottom of the Aleph. And then he shows the Kalim. Then after that, he comes over here and he says, what's going to happen now? So we're going to Hashir, we're going to leave behind Shama Mochin the Rank and the Chagat. So they're all bundled up together, but they go in different places. And so now this one gets dropped off. And then we're going to be Lidchos, the Mochim, the Naranchi, the Nahi. So everything is going into the lights that belong in the Nahi, or the Nai. L'kli ha-nai u-malchus, to the kli of the Nai and Malchus. That now you're going down, they go together, it's Nehim. And we have the same kind of layout again, but this time when we look at the Hachan, we're going to get a Nikud of Netzach, and then over in Baga with Hod, and then the two middle lines are going to be the Dati, the Chesadim, and the Dati, the Gvush, and the last three, that is, for the first one is the Atzmos of the light that's going into the Nai, and the Nehim, he says, and then the others are Ha'aros, and he shows Bina, Chachma, Bina, the Moach, and the Lavush, Chesed, the Das, the Moach, and the Lavush, so all of this is coming down, and he says a Shlosha Kli Netzach, the Nook, Shlosha Kli Hod, the Nook, Shlosha Kli Yesod, the Nook, and finally into, down at the bottom, into the Malchus, Shlosha Kli Malchus, the Nook, and that's what they look like. So before we get to Yachatz, which is coming up, let's look here. He says, number Ayin Vav, he says, now actually you're going to start eating it. Yikavan, you should have this kavanah, the Hamshech Chelach HaChasadim, to pour down, stream, Chelach HaChasadim, a portion of the Chasadim, the Leah. Now this is a fact that I don't have in evidence at all, and he's telling me a fact. Chelak Achsadim, the Leah, Derek Garam Zer Anpin. So Leah is on the back of the throat of Zer Anpin. And her Chasadim, now he says, now you're eating it. Your Kavana should be that this is actually what you're taking in is going to go, well, some of it is going to go into the Penimius of Zer Anpin. Yukavi Laham Shechelak HaChasadim, the Leah, so that's coming from Leah, Derek Garam Zer Anpin, L'or Penimi, and into the interior where it becomes an Or Penimi. V'chelak HaGavuros, L'or More Makif, and so this particular idea is not in my vocabulary, and he says that instead, portion of the light that's the Gavuros will become a Makif, the Yaakov Rachel for Yaakov and Rachel, so this is what the ultimate destination is going to look like. Let's look at the light print on number I and Vav. He says, Od Yaakov Rachel Karpas. Gamoshe his bar le'eru b'shtiyas akos, just like we had the same idea when we drank the cup of wine. Tehine b'Pesach. So here's the whole idea. Nekneses parts of Leah l'soch zer anpin. So it's no longer on the back of zer anpin; it's inside of zer anpin. The parts of Rachel omedet b'makom b'chutz zer anpin. We saw that kind of language before. So these lights that actually go into the portion of Leah, so the idea that are going, let me once more, so Leah's on the back and she has lights coming out of Bina that are going down to her. Is that what Bina that transfer over to her? He says, Hine ha'oras ha'megiyim l'chelko shel Leah, mekavin b'shtiyas hakos l'haknisim l'sof zer anpin, and now what you're doing, you're bringing inside of your, I guess, yourself, and it's bring them into zer anpin. Chelech ha'chasadim shel Leah, a portion. He doesn't say the whole amount. He says the portion of the chasadim would go from Leah go in. Nimshachim b'socha zer anpen, and they go into zer anpen ad makom b'chazer shalo until it reaches his chazer. What happens then? The yotzim misham makom Yaakov Rachel, and it goes out to the place which is now called Yaakov and Rachel, which is on the at the chazer of zer anpen, where the top of their heads begin. The hiyos lechem or penimi. Now he said, "V'chelek ha'gevurah shel Leah," so portion of the gevurah. And once again, he's dealing with the word portion. Yordim ad goram de zer anpen. They go down into the goram of zer anpen. Sham yotzin the chutz, and from that goram, they go out. V'yordin the makom Yaakov Rachel, and they go down as a makif. They come out through the mouth in some way. Yotzin the chutz. V'yordin the makom Yaakov Rachel v'na'aseh lechem or makif, and it makes for them an or makif. Let's look at the shefach of Rashash. He says, let's look at the light printed. He says, Kavana zucha v'sidach of Rashash b'kol mitzvos leil chaseder. So this kavana, every mitzvah that you do is part of this. B'kol hamshachos, and it has to do with mochin, as that is the mochin are coming in. So l'kaven l'hamshach as chelech hachusadim. So the idea is that you should have this kavana. Now he keeps saying the chelek, portion of the chesadim shel Leah, which would be an or penimi for Yaakov and Rachel. So eventually he says it goes down to the chaza where they're located. V'chelek gevuros or makif lechem will be a makif for them. V'chein b'sidr Rab Shabsai sidr kavana zu. He also organized this kavana. Barachidas matzah, when you're eating the matzah, it's the same thing. V'hu kosav rak ha'omer b'shas kavana. So he's writing only what is said at the time of the kavana. Sherachel lo kechas as chelka. She receives her portion. V'chelek Leah charbeta, and she also receives a portion of Leah. Now, I'm not sure where he went with this idea here. What's he want to say? Rashash Hosiv Bir, the Rashash comes and explains it further. Sha'oras penimi hu ha'chasadim. V'ha'or makif of the gevuros. Sheyisel zeh hu al pi ha'amar b'makom acher. So this idea is according to what we said in another place. She'ha'gevuros yotzin lehis pashet b'or makif, that the gevuros, this is a general thing about the gevuros, they come out. V'chasadim niknasin the or penimi, and they go in and make an or penimi. Now this is all new to me, so I just saying that. The SHAAR Gavanos, he says, when we get over to SHAAR Gavanos, this the only way you see it is in the drinking of the cups. And here we're eating something. For Reb Shabsai. So where do we know that the Rashash took this? Also the Reb Shabsai. So Kavana zu gam b'shar mitzvah. So those two, the Rashash and Reb Shabsai, all saw it the same way. Let's see if we can get into this a little bit. So we're coming now to the concept of Yachatz. So we have Yachatz, and then we have Magid, and we're moving into the Haggadah. So with the word Yachatz, okay, is the number 90, this is number 108, which is a multiplication, I know, of 18s. Number Ayin Zion. Number Ayin Zion says, Yishbor HaMatzah, you break the matzah. Hashen is the second matzah. That second matzah represents Bina. He's sewed Hey Vitsuras Dalad Vav. So it's a Hey in this form. Dalad Vav. So he says, V'yechaber Chelek HaDalad Shehi Hanuk. Dalad represents Dalas Lashon Dalas, which is Lashon Nuk. V'yechaber Chelek HaDalad Shehu Hanuk. Im hamatzah harishona, with the first, so you take that, you put it together with the first matzah, shehi chochma hanikras yud, which is called yud, the whole name out, vihi bitzir, and then it'll be in a form like this of dalad over a yud, which is also a hey. Now exactly what that was all about, I'm not sure. So he says, hey b'chochma yasad aretz Hashem, b'chochma yasad aretz, so we have that phrase too. So what used to be the hey vav, is that what he means, is now going to be used for the afikomen. Let's read a little bit, if we can just get started with it. So the Shefa Rashash, so that was, did we just read the Shefa, the Tiv? Yeah, I think we just read the Tiv. So the Shefa, the Rashash, says Yishbo Hamatzah V'Sheni Debina, and let's go on, and it'll become out in the surah of a Dalet over a Vav. Lo Nizbara Klal Eza Mochim Mamshichem Al Yedei HaYachatz. Okay, so apparently the shir is over. My Chavrusa left, and he said he was leaving promptly. According to me, I still have 2 more minutes, but he said that's what he's doing, and so that's the shir for today. And we'll get into it more, God willing, tomorrow.